Hello Year 11, here's your 5-day. And here are your answers. Note here that the statement doesn't have to be true for us to be able to write the converse and the contrapositive. If a statement is true, then its contrapositive will be true, and if a statement is false, then its contrapositive will be false. If a statement is true, its converse might be true or false. It could be either. So today we're going to be looking at bearings and angles of elevation and depression. So these might be slightly new ideas to you, but they're using things that you already know. So sometimes a normal compass is not accurate enough to give us a direction, so we use something called bearings to help. There's 3 rules with bearings. They're always measured clockwise from north. In degrees, they always have 3 figures. Bearings are used by like pilots and captains on ship, well, not just the captain, but people on ships, and so they're often talking over a radio. And so it's important that if you're giving a bearing, you know how many figures you're listening out for, so you know if you've missed something. So that's why they always have 3 figures. So we would say 0 to 0 instead of 20. So here is a little example about how they're used. So we've got 3 friends who live at X, Y, and Z, and we're given one of these bearings. So it's a good idea in bearings questions to always just start by drawing in your north lines from all of the points that you're going to be measuring from or thinking about from. So Y is on a bearing of 0, 5, 5 from X. So I know that this angle here is 55 degrees. I can see I'm given this one here, 120 degrees. So my first question says calculate the bearing of X from Y. So from Y means I'm starting at the point Y. I start from north and I go all the way around to here. Now I don't know what this angle here is, but this angle is co-interior with this angle. All of these north lines are parallel. So co-interior angles are supplementary. That means that this angle must be 125 degrees. And so to calculate the bearing of X from Y, I do 360, subtract 125, and that gives me 235. Z from Y, so I'm from Y again, and I want to know this time this angle. So I worked out this 125 from the first part. I'm given that this is 120, so this angle must be whatever the difference is to make it up to 360. So 125 plus 120, that's 245. So it's 360 minus 245, and so that gives me 115. The bearing of Y from Z means I go to Z, and it's this angle here. I've got 115. This angle is supplementary because my north lines are parallel. So this must be 65. So the bearing of Y from Z is 360 minus 65, which gives me 295. So you may have noticed, you may have seen the ends of runways before, and they always have numbers on them. The numbers on the end of these runways are the first 2 digits of a bearing. So for example, 12 would mean 120. So they're always rounded to the nearest 10 degrees. They might say 9 or they might say 0.9. You see this one's 40. So can you work out which ends go together on these 2 different runways? Pause the video while you think about it. Okay, so I'm going to draw these where they should be. So this is a bearing of 40. So this end of the runway would be like this. This one here, 150, would be something like this. So these 2 don't go together, do they? 330 would be somewhere up there. So these two go together, and 220 would be about here. So those two go together. So I want you to imagine that you're stood 66 meters away from a lighthouse, and we're going to measure the angle of elevation as 32 degrees. We can use this to find out the height of the lighthouse. Now let's think about what angle of elevation means. Here's our lighthouse. Here are you. Now you imagine that your eyes are on the ground. And this edge of this triangle here is 66 meters. The angle of elevation is basically the angle you have to turn your head through to get from looking at the ground to looking at the top of the lighthouse. Here you can see I have a right-angled triangle. I want the opposite side and I have the adjacent side. So I can write out tan 32 equals h for height over 66. Multiply both sides by 66, pop this into my calculator, make sure I'm in degrees mode, and I get the height of the lighthouse is 41.2 meters. So that's angles of elevation. Angles of depression. So imagine Alex is standing on the edge of a cliff and he sees a boat out to sea. He wants to work out how far away it is. He knows that the cliffs are 40 meters high. And the angle of depression is how far you have to tilt your head, the angle you tilt your head through to get from looking horizontally to looking down at the ship. So here's the 40-meter cliff, here's the angle of depression. Now, I don't quite have a triangle with the information I need here, but I can use this horizontal is parallel to this horizontal. So this angle here is alternate to 25. So I know that alternate angles are equal. And now I have this triangle which I can use to find this distance D here. So write the statement, I've got opposite and adjacent, so tan 25 equals 40 over D. Multiply by D and divide by tan 25 and pop that into your calculator to get the distance. The boat is this is from the base of the cliff, so if Alex wanted to know how far away the boat was from him, you would need to use Pythagoras, or you could use sine instead of tan. So now you can work through questions 1 to 13. Make sure you mark your work and ask if you have any questions. Thank you.